yet another ENC two-liner collapse, line twist, crazy cascading event video from YouTube that I am going to review and teach you lots of things about how to handle your glider when shit hits the fan. Are you ready? Here we go.
See ya.
I'm paragliding!
See ya.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Stoked you're here. I'm Ari. I teach high-level paragliding with emotional intelligence and relationship skills. I also founded the Paragliding Men's Group to help smart, adventurous men build badass long-term relationships with women who support them and their paragliding. If you're ready to shed the people-pleasing and the avoidant conflict dynamics that you've had and finally get what you really want in relationship, click the link in the description below. This is the last week to apply. So if you've been curious about that, now's the time. Let's get into this video here. We're going to watch it one time through and then I'm going to break it down for you. Okay, so we didn't see the inception, big collapse, big shoot, 360 line twist, double cravats, glider stalls, glider shoots, perfect heli, more heli, still heliing, shoots, flies away. Okay, then he goes slow-mo with us, so we'll do it. Big shoot, no meaningful correction. It's like a huge wing over gone really bad. Crazy line twisting disaster. Double cravats, twists out of it, pulls on the brake, stalls the glider into a 180 line twist. He could just let it shoot right here. He doesn't. Overhandles the glider. Heli, still perfect heli. More heli, more heli, still heli installed, and more heli. Glider shooting almost into a sat and flies away. Okay, let's break this down. So like I said, I don't have the beginning of this video, and I wish I did because I would talk about why it happened and how to prevent it. But since I can't talk about the prevention, we are going to talk only about collapse recovery right here and a couple of things with modern paragliders. This is a Skywalk Mint. It is a lightweight ENC two-liner. As far as I can tell, a totally wonderful glider. Lots of friends love it. And, you know, I've talked a bit on this channel about why we're seeing so many collapse videos from ENC two-liners is because they're pretty sporty and people are just stepping up from high Bs and straight to them and learning things about keeping the glider open and then learning things about, how would I say it, like modern, efficient, high-performance paragliders in collapse recovery. Obviously, this is a two-liner. It has very thin lines. It's very efficient. It is powerful, and all of those things lend it to being sporty in collapse recovery. Okay, so the first thing that I notice here is that as you see in this frame that we're looking at here, the glider is totally folded under. The left side of the glider is folded under. And what happens if we scrub through slowly here is we get into this configuration where now the leading edge is somewhat open here, but it's facing perpendicular to where the pilot is flying. What happens is the glider shoots really hard and it rolls and yaws the glider over so hard that he falls towards the lines into this crazy line twist right here. His feet are in the lines for a second and the leading edge is like so close to him and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so basically what needs to happen here is this needs to be controlled. So if we scrub forward ever so slightly, I'm going to frame. Okay, in this frame, the glider is completely span-wise open, but you can see that there is not that much brake being pulled. As we scrub forward frame. Okay, so now the glider is shooting. The left side of the glider is shooting, and look at how much brake is being pulled. It's probably 6 inches. Modern paragliders have a little bit of reflex in them, and they shoot harder when you're just on the brakes a little bit. This is something that I didn't fully understand until I went to Turkey when we taught that SAV, and I started just like practicing these pitch pendulums, and I realized that, wow, it really is true. If you're on the brakes a little bit, the glider actually shoots harder in certain configurations. It's not always the case, but in certain configurations, especially when it has a lot of power, if you're barely on the brakes, it actually shoots harder. Your best bet is to be completely off the brakes or actually on the brakes. This is a C two-liner. If you're flying a two-liner, it means that the days where you could just totally trust the glider to collapse 70% and then you go hands up and be like, please save me, those days are over. So if you're not really robustly skillful in your collapse recovery, your kiting, your glider handling, then these are not the gliders for you. And this is just another example of this is a little bit too hot of a glider. Maybe not this pilot every day, but definitely this pilot on this day, or definitely this pilot in this moment. Because what needed to happen here was this glider needed to be, like there's a lot of ways you could do this. The glider collapses, you could immediately stall the thing. Then it doesn't shoot like that. The glider collapses, it reinflates hard, and you stall it as it reinflates hard. It shoots so hard, and you're so on it, quickly, deeply on the brakes as it shoots that you control the surge. It might take a small frontal after that, but it comes out. But the shoot on the left side of this glider is so unchecked that it throws him into a line twist, flips him over in his harness, gives him a 360 line twist with double cravats. Okay. Like I said, as the glider shoots here, you have got to be so deeply on the brakes. And honestly, this is, when you watch this video just from the inception, this is a tough situation. He takes a collapse. It happens so incredibly fast. Bang, woo, line twist. Bang, there it is. Double cravat. Look, I've been playing the video for 6 seconds. So literally 5 seconds is like something happens, it reacts, it shoots. So your reactions have to be so fast. So fast. Your brake inputs need to be deep, sharp, and you have to hold it as long as it takes, okay? It might be that this was an incident that the only proper way out was to basically stall the glider so that it wouldn't reinflate so hard right at stall. And honestly, if you're flying a two-liner in really active air, then those are the kind of possibilities that you need to be ready for. Absolutely. I kind of prefer it if my two-liner takes a huge collapse. If it inflates too quickly, it can make way more problems. There's so many videos of that where you watch that the hard reinflation of the glider creates, in this case, line twist and a huge shoot. So flying two-liners, you have to be ready to manually restart the glider when it collapses. I think my point has been made about the initial event. Once he's in this configuration here, where the glider is in a ball and it kind of looks like a squid and the lines are twisted, but the clouds so beautiful here. I think he's flying in Spain, just looking at the terrain. Once he's in this configuration, the glider shoots and it catches double cravats here, okay? When I see this configuration, the glider's flying again. Okay, woohoo, glider's flying again. I'm 360 line twisted, that can be resolved. The glider is not auto-rotating, that's a good sign, okay? So look, he comes back under it, he twists out. What happens right here is really important because basically we've talked about this on the channel before, but when our hands are connected to the brakes and we have some kind of free fall situation, or in this case, a really twisting inertia, we want to put our hands out to catch ourselves, to brace ourselves, to stop the rotation, but our hands are connected to the brakes. So we really have to kind of disconnect those bodily reactions. Now we are part of this aircraft and we have to use our hands as part of the aircraft. So if he would have just gone hands up and grabbed the risers and slowed his rotation, that would have been better. But as you can see, he just took a big collapse event. There's big cravats in the glider. That means his airspeed is compromised. He needs to let the airspeed build back up in the glider if he wants to fly it away. My intuition is that he didn't intend to stall the glider right here, but he does. And he does it with his right hand, which the timing of his rotation and the stall is bad. It leaves him in another line twist here, albeit only a 180. And he lets the glider shoot hard enough that the cravat clears, but then he pulls a bunch of brake, stalls it, it helis. Now he's overhandling. Now he's just caught in a cascade of overhandling, and it shoots, right? So coming back here, when the glider flies away with the double cravats, as long as it's not auto-rotating, it's flying. It's got double cravats, which makes it symmetrical. It means that it's unlikely to powerfully wind up into an auto rotation on its own quickly. It can happen, but since it's double cravated, it's kind of symmetrical. It's like they're big brakes on both sides. So here I would recommend be very careful with the brakes, be very careful with your airspeed, untwist, and then you can do whatever feels good. If you're very competent at stalling the glider, this is probably a great instance. Just a deep stall will clear both cravats and you let the glider fly and you're back in business. If you're not comfortable with that, then we go into our spin training. I've talked about spinning out cravats on a lot of videos on this channel. So definitely, if you don't know how to spin out cravats, definitely go back and watch some of those things. The Stabilo is also a decent option if the spinning is not working, but the Stabilo ought be the last resort in my personal opinion. There's lots of videos on this channel about that. So this video is a pretty wild one. A lot of things happen real fast. Your reactions have got to be on point. If you are going to fly an ENC two-liner or a two-liner of any kind, you have got to be ready to manually restart the glider after big collapses, because harsh, sharp reinflations can cause more problems than the collapse themselves. So this is a particularly tough one. I wish that I could try it and have a restart button, and I would try it 20 times and see all the different ways that we could figure this one out as pilots. But the pilot does a good job of staying present, and even though he overhandles a little bit in a scary moment, he ends up letting the glider fly and flying away safely. So glad it worked out. Thanks for sending your videos. Like I said, if you are a man and you have relational pain and you are ready to take steps to get out of that pain, whether that's you've dealt with a big breakup or you're single and looking forward to having a badass partnership, please reach out. Link is in the description below. This is the last week to apply. We'd love to have you. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next episode.